Okay, anybody who knows me, anybody who really fucks with me, right? Get me.
LeBron house.
Kobe Bryant's house.
LeBron house.
We are here. Oh my God, I'm about to cry. Let's go find this back.
¡Ey! ¿Esta es la casa de quién? Yeah.
I don't know what you doing that for.
I wasn't. I was cracking my knuckles.
Oh, so when I met Antoine, it was New Year's Eve, 2007, and I was in the bar Cheers with my best friend Nisi, and we were drinking, listening to music, talking, and then in comes three guys, one big light-skinned one brown one, and then one ugly one.
It was New Year's Eve, 2007. My partner, Zay Good and Dominique and I, we went to Cheers. I don't even know why. Because we was going to the strip club. We was going to end the night at Night on Broadway that night. And we ended up going to Cheers. And when we got in there, it was dead. It wasn't hardly, there was nobody in there. It was only the bartender, Tammy, and Sadia, and her homegirl, Nisi. So, I seen her. I was like, yo, she was pretty. Like, she looked so good. So I tried to hurry up, run around the bar to grab a chair next to her. And Neek wanted to sit there. So we tussling for the chair. I ended up getting it and sitting down next to her. And I'm just looking at her. She just, like, smiled. And that was what caught me. Her smile. Like, she had, like, the prettiest smile. And that was, like, I just had to, like, just say something to her. It wasn't even on no, trying to come at her or get her number or anything, but I just had to say something. Tell her how pretty she was and stuff like that. We just shot this shit, small talk, and nothing came out of it. It was the weirdest thing. And, we talked for a while. I was talking with my partners and stuff like that. We had our drinks, and then we just got up out of there. So that was just what that was in the beginning.
So the ugly one and the brown one, which was Antoine, is fighting over the chair to sit next to me, like right here next to me. And they like looking like weirdos, actually, like tussling, grabbing the chair back and forth. So in my mind, I'm like, God, please do not let the ugly one get this chair. Like, come on, brown one, like, fight harder. So he ended up getting the chair and sat next to me, and I turned my head like, whew, thank you, God. So then we were just sitting there, and then we just started talking. And then I noticed he got some hazel eyes, like, oh, he is cute. So I'm telling my friend Nisi, like, oh, you see him? He is cute, girl. Oh. So we having our own giggle over here about him that he don't even know. So then we started talking, and I think that was like it. We didn't like exchange numbers that night.
So fast forward to March 2008. Me, my brother Vince, and Yayo, all of us, we ended up sliding up the Chairs. And for some reason that night, man, when we walked in there, that spot was like packed. Like you could barely move. That's how crowded it was. And I was surprised because I haven't been back there prior to the time when we went New Year's Eve in December. So I'm like, all right, I wasn't expecting for that crowd to look like that in that dirty ass bar. So I walk around, like we in there, weaving through the crowd, and I happened to see her again. And I had to tap her, and I said, how you doing? You don't remember me? And she couldn't remember me. I remembered her because it was just that smile. You can't forget stuff like that. I pay attention to everything. So I was locked in, and I remembered her. So she couldn't remember me, and then I'm like, okay, had to give her a refresher, and she's like, oh yeah, whoop de whoop. So we start talking, bought her a drink or two. We sitting there sipping them Long Islands and stuff like that. Well, I had a Long Island. I think she had a rum and coke or something like that. And we talked for a good while. And this time, I got the number. So it was just crazy how it came back around. 3 months later, or whatever the case may be, and that's how we kicked it off, bumping into each other again. So the ride was just about to begin. It was just about to start.
So later on, he had to refresh my memory because I really didn't remember him when I actually saw him again in March. And then he refreshed my memory, and I was like, oh, that was you. Okay. So then that's when we started kind of like our relationship, getting to know each other type of situation, talking on the phone all the time, like every day for hours.
Yeah, during that time, in the beginning, man, we would just talk on the phone. I'll be at work, and I'm tying up the work line. I was working at Verizon at the time. I had 2 jobs throughout the sequence, toward the beginning marks of the relationship. I was working at Verizon first. Then I was at the airport first. Then I had went to Verizon. I left there to go to Verizon. So I would be on the phone with her, supposed to be selling stuff, but I'm on the phone with her on the floor, just talking. We just talking for hours. Like some days we would talk my whole shift. Like it was crazy. It was crazy just how we was just like connected. We was just trying to learn each other and just trying to figure it out. Like, yo, is this for real? Because it didn't feel right. Plus, she had a situation that she was dealing with anyway, so I couldn't really. It was only but so much that I could do, other than just talking to her on the phone, and then we would link up at the bar after work. I would slide down to the bar where she'll be at, and that was. I ain't gonna hold you. I didn't like it. I didn't like it because I wasn't a bar dude. You know what I mean? But that was her place, and I couldn't stand the people in it. But I just felt like, well, I got to get to know her. She just got to get to know me, and then maybe, I can tug at her and pull her away from that life. But I was in for a rude awakening because that did not happen. It did not happen at all for me. So I kind of like lost that battle.
Hi, my name is Desiree. I'm a creative producer. The project that I did with Antoine was called A Christmas Story, and it was appreciation towards our ancestors. It was a last-minute project. I put out a casting ad on Instagram, and I needed a father character last minute. We had the little boy, but we didn't have the father character, and it was about a week before the shoot. So I put the ad out, and Antoine happened to be in Los Angeles. So he reached out to me, and it was God sent.
So yeah, that whole setup of me ended up in LA. It went from a trip of pleasure to a trip of business. I was slated to go to a game out there and stuff like that. The Eagles was playing out there, and then I had seen Desi's ad on Instagram, and I'm like, oh well, why not? So we got to talking, exchanging on Messenger and stuff like that, and she asked me if I, would mind, reading the script, doing like a makeshift video audition so she can show her team or what have you. So I was in the house by myself. I did it, and gave it to her and stuff like that. She liked it, so her peoples didn't really believe that I was coming out there. They wasn't sure. But I told her, yeah, I'm coming out there. I believe it was a Wednesday night, and I was set to fly out there that Friday. So I got the script, did the the video, and then I flew out that Friday morning, and yeah, we got out there. It was a good time. Didn't really have too much time because there was work to be done and stuff like that. And that Saturday, up bright and early, caught an Uber to Eddie Rochester's house, and it was a beautiful home. You know, I could see how they used to get down back in the day, how beautiful it was and stuff like that. And I met my casted son, Jonathan. His mother was awesome and stuff like that. The whole makeup, the whole setup of that process was just like a surreal experience for me, because at the time I just did a little bit of modeling and stuff like that, a few fashion shows. Mind you, all of this stuff was a first for me. I don't have any experience. At that time, I didn't have any experience in anything. Modeling, I don't think I'm a model or anything like that. Taking pictures and stuff like that. I'm like, yo, I don't think that I'm photogenic. I say that all the time, but I did it. And I did a spread for Munalucci Designs, and shout out to Regine Wilson, because he was the one who took my first set of pictures of me, and he told me to set up an Instagram and stuff like that, because I didn't have one at the time. The only thing I had at the time was Facebook. So he put up the pictures, and people started hitting him up, inquiring about who I was. And he's like, yo, you got to set up an Instagram. And I set it up, and then, you know, that's how things just started to happen. I started getting messages from, you know, directors and photographers and different things wanting to do collaborations and stuff like that, and that's how it started. But that experience out in LA with Desi and Monet and those guys, man, that turned me on to wanting to be a part of production and writing and producing film and doing acting. So it's amazing how God worked, and how God, you know, aligned people with each other. You know, they was on the opposite coast, you know, and thank God for social media, because we linked through that, and I ended up, you know, doing a film out there. So it was a dope experience, and, you know, I just loved how they all was in sync and in unison with each other as far as having each other's back. It was kind of like a figure eight. One person was covering the other, so that was a dope experience, man. It was an amazing time, good time.
So the next month or so, we would meet up like every day or every other day at the bar, Cheers, because that's was my spot, to drink and chill and talk. And I knew he probably really didn't like meeting there all the time, but that was my spot, so that's where I wanted to be. So he would come be there with me.
Yeah, in the very beginning, I'm like, all right, first couple times, okay, we linking up at the bar. So I'm like, damn, I'm noticing in like weeks, I'm at the bar every day. Like my brother used to be like, yo, you going to that bar again? And I'm like, yeah. So I was like, oh, I ain't feeling this, but it's the beginning. I gotta get to know her. I gotta, you know, get to know her and let her see how I move, and maybe I can like tug her away from that. But man, I was in for a rude awakening with that one, because that didn't happen. I was in that bar every day, and I couldn't stand. In the beginning, I could not stand her friends. I hated all of them. I just despised them, because I'm like, yo. I'm like, this is what y'all do every fucking day. Like, how? Why? Like, it's more to life than just this bar. I couldn't understand it. So, I'm getting frustrated. I used to get frustrated with her over time, because it's like, bro, we got things to do. Like, we got life to live. And all Sadia wanted to do was be at that damn bar. But in the beginning, I had to learn that about her, because I didn't know. And then I had to deal with the adversity of trying to get her away from that life. It was a struggle for me. It was a fight every single day. It was a fight, like for months and months, turned into years of me trying to fight to get her to see like, yo, it's more to life than just this. And at the time, I wasn't even set up my own damn self. But I'm sitting here chasing her, trying to get her like, come on, come with me, let's do this. We got things to do. But I couldn't stand it. But that was her thing, and she was the man in there. Like her following, her friends, they all like rock with each other. They all rock with her. They mess with her heavy. Like she definitely had a sense of control in there, and a sense of, people respected her, and there was drama all the time, but she really, she was just the center of attention, and she liked that. So it was just like after a while, her friends, I just let it go, and they started to become cool to me. Like, all right, well, that's what y'all do. It's not what I do, even though I was doing it too. But I just had the mindset like, well, that's her friends. That's what they like to do. They do what they do. But I used to and I got cool with them. Like, I chop it up with them, have a drink, whatever, and stuff like that. But yeah, I started to become like one of them, and I ain't even know it at the time. It's crazy.
So by this time, we've been talking maybe for about 2 months, I think, or 1 month, almost 2 months, something like that. And he invited me to lunch one day at his job. So we went to go eat, and then on my ride back home, I got pulled over, and I knew I had a warrant for a violation of probation. So when they pulled me over, because in my mind I'm thinking like I cannot go to jail right now. I want to, because I was going to go home, change, and I was going to eventually meet up with him later on again that same night. So that's what I'm thinking about. So I'm like, I cannot give them my name. So I told them, I forget what name I told them, I don't know. But they asked me for ID. I told them I didn't have it. I left.
So the time when Sadia came up to my job, we had lunch. That was a crazy time because I didn't know what the hell was going on. She just shot me a text and was like, it was weird. I can't remember the name that she said, that she gave. Told me to say whatever her name was or whatever, but she just was like, I'm going to be going away for a while. It was just deep. And I'm just like confused, like, huh? Why? But here's the thing. I didn't know her. Here I am, 22. We met, I'm 22, going on 23. She 26, 27. It was like 3.5 year age gap. So, we still was just trying to find ourselves, our places individually. And then I'm trying to, learn her. I'm already dealing with this bar mess. And I couldn't stand. I was just gritting my teeth and just eating it because I'm like, yo, I'm going to win. I'm very competitive. And in my mind, I'm like, yo, I'm going to win. I'm going to win this fight. I'm going to get her out of this life. And then, boom, here come another curveball straight down the pipe with this I'm getting locked up mess. So that time, that day was crazy. And I just was feeling bad. Like, damn, I should have never, if I would have never told her to come up there to meet me to have lunch, then maybe that wouldn't have never happened. Who knows? Or it would have happened, later on down the line. But I just felt bad. I felt like it was part of it. It felt like it was my fault because I did invite her out there. I was working in Springfield and stuff like that. But yeah, that was an unfortunate event that occurred at that time.
And she came back over to me and asked me, do I have any like tattoos that may say my name or anything like that? So I kind of like moved my arm a little bit to make sure my sleeve covered it. And I was like, no. And he's like, well, we're going to have to take you in anyway to ID you. So it was like kind of pointless for me to even go through that whole situation. So once they took me into the police station and ran my fingerprints, they found out that I had a warrant. So I was there for probably a couple hours, and then they sent me to the prison. And then they sent me to Westchester prison. And then I was there for probably about like 3 months or almost 3 months.
When Sadia went away, that was really, really hard for me. It was a couple months in, still early in a relationship, and learning each other. We were spending every day a lot of time together, talking for hours, hanging out and stuff like that. And when she got taken away from me, I was just crushed. I didn't know what to do. And it just sucks when, a loved one, somebody you love and care about, is jammed up in a situation like that, and it's like nothing you could do about it. It's like one of the worst feelings ever. I'm a person that likes to be in control. So when I was faced with that, and then just trying, I couldn't even talk to her. I didn't even know where she was. I was in constant communication with her homegirl, her best friend Nisi. She would, tell me that Sadia, she talked to her on the phone and stuff like that. And I was getting like, well, damn, how come she didn't call me or whatever the case may be? But they was communicating. She was relaying messages back and forth. But one good thing that came out of that was that when that event happened, that was my first time getting the opportunity to meet her mother. And it's like kind of messed up, right? Meeting your lady's mom for the first time when her daughter's in jail. Like, it's crazy. But me and her mom, we would talk like prior to our initial meeting, we would talk for hours about, just the situation and stuff like that. I would have all sorts of questions for her and stuff like that. And when we set up the meeting, I came to meet up with she and her Sadia's stepfather, Craig, at Cheers. And when I walked in, the first thing I said to her is, wow, I said, I know who you are. That was the first thing I said when I walked up to her. And she just smiled, and she just had the beautifulest smile. And, I gave her a hug, and I said, I know who you are. It's crazy. I said, you spit her out. I dapped Mr. Craig up and stuff like that. And we just sat there, and we drank, and we talked, and, just trying to process this situation. What's needed to be done? Where is she? How is she? Is she okay? And does she need anything? What's to do? Like, what's the next move? That was my mindset, but it was an awesome time, in spite of, to sit there and fellowship with her mom and step pop, and me and her mother. I mean, throughout the duration of the relationship, me and her was just so close. I was so tight with her, even closer than my own mom throughout that time, because I wasn't really on the best of terms with my mom like that, as far as, we had our little spats because I didn't want to live with her and stuff like that. But me and Sadia's mom, man, we would talk and talk and talk and talk for hours. And her mother loved me.
And during that time, in my mind, I'm like, dang, man, I just messed up. Like, there's no way for me to even let him know what's going on, like, why I'm here. Now he's probably like, I done probably scared him off. But in my mind, too, I'm still like, well, it was the beginning, so it's like, oh, well, then I understand if he, like, want to just walk away. So the shocking part was that, my mom told me, like, yeah, I met Antoine and all this stuff, that he was still around. So that was surprising. Like, what, really? So she's like, yeah, he's really nice, girl. He's cute and all of this stuff. And he said he want to help and all that type of stuff. So I was surprised alone just because it was the beginning of our relationship. And that's like crazy for somebody to get to start to talk to somebody and then they go to jail. So he was still there. Now,
I never thought about leaving. I never thought about it. And if it crossed my mind, I said no, because I see the potential in Sadia. I seen the potential in her. I just knew that she was in a bad place in her life, because we would talk, we would communicate, and she used to tell me, like, she wasn't always like this, hanging out in the bars and stuff like that. She, once upon a time, prior to me, she had her own place, had her own job, and handling her business, and she used to always tell me, just me, my apartment, and my cat. And that's all. I used to make my money and just have my cat and just be chilling and stuff like that. I wasn't always this way. So I used to always say, well, why can't, like, what's the problem? Like, why can't you get out of your own way? Like, you in your own way right now. And it's hindering us from moving forward, progressing in any facet of life, because we just not moving at all. We just stuck. So that's why when that happened to her, I just figured in my mind, like, maybe this would be a wake-up call. God will allow things to happen in life to get our attention. And I thought that this was her time to go through a season of trial and turmoil to get her to see, like, yo, shape up. It's time to shape up and ship out. So that's why I said, well, there's no way I'm going to turn my back and leave her when she's at her lowest point. I'm not made up like that, because when I love and I rock with you, when I fuck with you, I go all the way. all the way. You know what I mean? So, and I just didn't want to, turn my back on her, and knowing how I felt about her, knowing how she felt about me, and it was just a unfortunate situation that happened. But it was tough, man. It really was. It was tough, and it was definitely new for me. That whole experience in the beginning was just so new. I was in uncharted territories, man. I was in rocky water, man, for real. It was like a mental strain, an emotional strain. Like I was praying, like, God, like, what am I doing? What do I do? And stuff like that. Like, it was just rough.
I was in there for like a couple weeks, and then I started getting his letters, like literally every single day, to where though all the inmates in there, they would ask me, did mail come? Because if I didn't receive a letter, then they know mail didn't come. Like literally, they were like, Sadia, did you get your letter? And I'm like, no, not yet. And they're like, all right, well, mail ain't come yet. Or if I say yeah, then they know, all right, well, they just didn't get their letter that they expecting. So, like, literally, like, every day, like, I was, like, surprised by that. Like, I'm like, how is you doing it? Like, I wrote him and asked him, like, how are you sending me a letter, like, every single day? And he, like, ran down that he get up early in the morning, like, 5 o'clock in the morning or something, and go to the mailbox and put it in there. And, like every day he would do that because I got it every single day.
I wrote her every day. It was nothing to me. I'm always repping. I'm always riding. So what I would used to do, before my shift in the morning, I would get up like 5, go to LA Fitness and work out. So the night before, all I would do, I would write 2 letters. Because I would wanted to get sometimes, like, I wanted to get like 2 a days and stuff like that. So I would write 2 letters the night before, and I would get up before I go to the gym, drop the letters in the mailbox. Then the crazy thing, I just said to you how it was a crazy introduction to me meeting her mom while she's in jail, but her introduction to my mom was like not ideal at all, because I used to rush home after my shift at work at night, just get up about 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, run home, or I would call my mom, I got a letter. She was like, yeah. So when Sadia started to respond and sending letters to my mom's house, my mom used to be like, who is this girl in the prison writing you a letter? So I didn't want to tell my mom, because I was like, oh, Mom, no, that's nothing. That's just my friend. And she's like, well, who is she? And I'm like, oh, Mom, that's just my friend. Give me my stuff, or whatever the case may be. Go in the back room and read my letter. I used to read the damn letter like 8 times before I slide off to the bar and stuff like that. It was like crazy, kind of like obsessed much. But no, it was just like when she was in there, and when we would write letters and stuff, when I would write the letters, and then when I would receive her letters, it would be like sometimes 2 and 3 pages at a time. So when they in there, you ain't got nothing but time and nothing to do in there but think. So she would tell me all types of dreams and miracles, and this gonna happen, and this da 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 da, and stuff like that. And I used to just lay in the room and just fantasize like, oh, it's gonna be so dope when she get out, because we gonna get up out of here. We gonna move. We gonna leave Philly. We gonna do this, and this. I really was delusional, but it's real. So I would read them letters like 5 and 6 times. Then I'll go get down the way, read it some more and stuff like that. It was just crazy, man. Like she had me really tripping out over her ass, man. Oh my God. Like, yeah, I wrote her every day, man. That was my coping mechanism. It helped me feel like I could, like, that was like me having a sense of closeness to her through a pen and a piece of paper. I used to get the little amber white oils, amber blacks, and I used to just, rub the oil on the paper so she can smell my scent as the letter, you know what I mean? When she opened the letter, the first thing that hit her is my scent that I'm wearing and stuff like that. So I just try to figure out little ways to be close to her. And you know what? Then I went and got my pictures taken. I never got my pictures taken before. And I went and got my pictures taken and sent her some pictures. Like, look, I'm out here. Like, I'm repping you. Like, I'm waiting on you.
So then when he sent me the pictures, I was all extra hype. Like, oh, dang, looks so good. Because I was kind of forgetting what the heck he looked like. I just knew he looked good. But when he sent me the pictures, I was so hyped, like, oh yeah, he gets sexy. So I put him up, made my own little photo frame in my cell. So when the guards would come past to give me mail or give me whatever, they would see his picture sitting up. They're like, who is that? Is that your boyfriend? I'm like, yeah, all happy. And they're like, oh girl, he is fine, he is cute. Let me see. And they want to get a closer look, like, back up, okay? I'm getting out soon, not doing life. So after that, so as time progressed, everything was okay. He was really like keeping me going because I was stressed out. One, I missed my mom's wedding while I was locked up, and I missed it by probably like a week. She got married a week before I was supposed to be released. So I was mad at her kind of because I'm like, why you didn't wait for me? Because all my sisters was in the wedding, and I'm her youngest, and I was supposed to be in that wedding. But I had to get over it, and he kind of like helped me get through it that little bit of time that I was there. And then when he came and visited me, he surprised me because I don't know, I kind of sensed that he was up to something because that day I didn't receive a letter from him. So I'm like, why he didn't write me a letter today? So then like the whole day went past, and in my mind I'm like, okay, the first round of visits went, okay, no. I'm like, maybe he's not coming then. But then that last round called, and they called my name, and I was like, oh yeah, I know that's him. So then I went down there and saw him, and I was just like so happy. I'm like, knew I was looking raggedy because I really wasn't sure if it was him because I didn't know if it was my mom either. So I'm like, I don't know, but I don't know. But I was mad that I was looking raggedy. But I'm like, oh well, I'm in jail. He know what I look like outside of jail. So I was okay with that. But then I noticed he came there with his cousin Carney. And every time that I saw Carney prior to in jail, he always had a hat on. I would see him like in chairs and stuff like that when he would come with Antoine. And he always had a hat on. But in jail, when he came to visit, I guess they made him take his hat off. And when I tell you, that was the biggest head that I ever saw in my life. It really was the biggest head that I ever saw. I was like, oh my God, that's why you always wear a hat, Corny? And he like, man, they made me take my hat off. Like, he was really upset that they made him take his hat off. And I understood why.
I've been around all my cousins' relationships. I mean, all Antoine relationships I've been around. I've seen them all. Now, his new relationship was with Sadia. She was a total opposite of Sarah. Not even close to being the same. But, he was attracted to her, and I think he met her in the bar, I think he told me. Their relationship also lasted for years, lasted a long time. Really liked her, and it was similar with me, getting the calls with all the fights and things of that nature. But it was unique because she, I think she kind of like, she drew my cousin to another zone that I wasn't used to.
Sadia was a change of pace for me. My previous relationship prior to dating Sadia, I was in that relationship for 5 years, and she was a good girl. Book smart, not street smart, but she held me down. She was fun, loving, spunky, loved her family and stuff like that. So coming from that situation for 5 years, basically my high school sweetheart, and linking up with Sadia, and all of this goings on landing on my plate with Cheers and Chester County, prison. And I'm like, yo, I was kind of like, my life felt like it was spiraling. And she was a change of pace for me. But I understood that what she was showing on the surface was not who she was internally. And I felt that. So it was my mission to try to get through to her. Whatever she was battling, her own demons within herself, I was just trying to reach her, say, yo, you don't have to succumb to it. And when it came to my family, of course my mom got the letter. She told my aunt, or told my grandma and telling my grandma something, uh, everybody in the whole family down to Florida would know. Antoine's messing with a girl that's in jail. Like that's just how she is. So my family was already they was accustomed to Sarah, the quote unquote good girl, and now Sadia was kind of like, oh man. I mean, I understood it. You know, what parent will want their child their introduction to the first introduction into the person that their boyfriend or girlfriend, and it's like, oh, they wrote a letter and they in jail, and this is who that you seen. Like, no, I'm not going to approve of that. So I understood the mindset, their mindset, and their perspective of why are you dealing with somebody like that. But they didn't know her, so it was like, and I'm not the type of person that makes decisions that's just appealing solely for the masses. It's like, no, like I'm locked in with this girl. Like I know this girl. You don't know her, you don't understand. And if you don't care to understand, that's okay. That's your prerogative. But you're not going to dictate or order my steps as to how I'm going to move or who I'm going to move my life with. So that was my mindset. Like I was defiant in that way. So, but she held me down. And you know, Sadia, she rocked with me from my living situation wasn't ideal. You know, I was living, one of my partners let me stay in his family's house, and the house was broken down. It was constant traffic, you know, roaches, mice running around. I'm in the middle room laying on the floor, you know what I mean? And Sadia, you know, one night she's like, yo, I want to come with you. I want to leave with you. And I was like, ashamed. And I'm like, all right, I'll take you there, but I gotta tell you, like, it's not the best situation. And she said she didn't care. And, you know, we went there and she just rocked with me the whole time. Like, we laid on the floor. The door wasn't even on the hinge. Just laid on the floor, and we would talk and do what we do and stuff like that. But she was a router. Like, she held me down. She rode with me. Like, in spite of wherever I was, she was rocking with me no matter what. And that's one thing I can truly say about her, that she's incredibly loyal to a fault. But she's definitely a loyal person to people that she let in. And that's one of the best qualities and characteristics that she possessed. And that's one of the things that I love about her.
I went to the bar one day with them. You know, it was actually a comical time because we all was drunk. And we were just talking, and you know, I remember one day I went there one night. We went there, and we was just having a good time talking, and had a few shots. And this is the first time I've ever got drunk where I was stumbling, and Antoine had to walk me to my car. I had this big Ford Expedition. He put me in the backseat of my car and drove me to my apartment. I was really trashed, and after that night I said, "Wow!" I said that feeling was terrible. I said, I don't know, this girl has got him. He was cool. He had more than I drunk, but he was good. So I was like, wow, he's definitely grown up in a more different advanced zone than I am.
We sitting in the room waiting for them to bring Sadia out. And I'm like, the whole time, I'm just like, you know, I got me a fresh cut, had my little 360s on the side, my bald spot in the back, but I ain't care, it got fresh. And I'm sitting there waiting for her to come out. She was taking a long time. So me and Courtney just sitting there talking, and then she comes out. And when I seen her, she had on a green jumpsuit with a blow pop. Hair looking, oh man, her hair was a mess. But I didn't care. She came out and she smiled and came over, man. And she jumped in my arms. I just squeezed her and we just kissed and embraced each other. And it was just like, man, everything that I was feeling and everything that I was dealing with, I just all went away in that moment, in that space and time. And that was like a dope moment. It's almost, I mean, I can remember it vividly to this day, like how that all happened, how it all played out. We sat and we talked, and, you know, she just was staring at me, and I'm looking at her like, look at the damn hair. She was looking like Bonquisha or Felicia or somebody, man. Like, she was hit, but I didn't care. Like, I didn't care. That was my baby, man. I was missing her. And, yeah, it was what it was. You know, I was happy that she wasn't really totally surprised, but it was like something, I felt good about it that, oh, I pulled one on you. in which I really didn't. It was just like, man, it was time for me to come up there and see her. But the visit was good. We talked about things and everything. And the roughest part is when they say, all right, time's up. And it's like back to reality, man. I got to go back home and she got to go back to her block and stuff like that. And it's just like, man, she got all teary-eyed and we embraced and kissed, told each other we love each other and stuff like that, and said our goodbyes. And it was that was rough for me. Like, it was rough. Like, riding back home, me and Courtney was talking and stuff like that. It's like, and everybody was just rooting for Sadia on the outside. On my people's on my ends, like, yo, I think when she come out and she see that you still stuck by her side, that she's gonna change. And I was hoping that, not only just for us but for her, period, because I knew she's wasting time. She's wasting time. You're not getting no younger. None of us are. So that was always on my mind, is time. We on the clock. We gotta go. We on the clock. So I was hoping, during that time that she really would take in and process the situation, like, yo, this is your life right now. You're living in a jail cell. So.
And then it was that one night that we wanted to go see Sadia. She I guess she had a situation with the law and she was actually locked up in Chester County Prison. And we went up there and he convinced me to drive him up there. At first I was like reluctant. I said, I'm not going to no prison, because I know what prison's required. You gotta, get all take your clothes off and do all this searching. I wasn't a part of all that. But I agreed to take him, and the roads getting up there was really creepy. It was like some dark, scary roads. I'm like, whoa, this is like out of my zone. But we get there and, we go through the process and, they say, Mr. Cisco, remove your hat. I'm like, who, me? They say, yeah, you. I'm like, why? I ain't got nothing in my hat. My time I was like, lose my hair and I just ain't want, me and hats was my best friend. But, I did what the guard said and, I wasn't too fond of it, but it was cool though. I didn't care. I went through it.
So I had to come up with an idea. I had to see her, so I wasn't going to tell her like, yo, I'm gonna pop up here at this time. So I wanted to, be all slick and smooth and sly. Like, I ain't gonna tell her nothing. I'm just gonna pull up on that ass. So at the time, Carney had his Crown Vic. My cousin Carney had his Crown Vic, so I shot him a couple of dollars, like, yo, run me up to the prison to see Sadia, whoop-de-whoop. He wasn't really feeling it at first, but, he was like, all right, I'll take you. So we drove up there. So we go inside. Mind you, at this time, I'm losing my damn hair. Like, my hair, I was holding on for dear life because my hairline was, like, way back here. I was still getting haircuts and shape-ups, looking like RoboCop when he had his mask off. Like, that's how bad my hair was. But Corny, I think at the time he had braids, or he was trying to have braids. I can't remember what he had, but Corny he didn't like to not have his hat off. So when they told him, to take his hat off, yo, you would have seen the look on his face, yo. I wish I could have just recorded that moment, man, because that was the funniest, man. He was not feeling that, yo. He was not. Yo, he was.
And then we met Sadia there, She was so happy to see Antoine, so happy to see us in there and get some visitors. I watched them too from afar. They had a really great, they had good communication, It was another unique situation where, I think it was genuine love. It has to be to last that long. It was genuine love that he wrote for her. He stood by her side, and she definitely had a real love for my cousin. And, I really at least appreciate whoever he's with, just to love him unconditionally. And she did that. I really believe Sadia did that. She loved him.
Wow. So we laughed about that sitting at the visit. I was cracking up because we just kept looking over at Corny, and I just kept looking at how unhappy he was, the fact that his head was out. So, and then we just talked about what's going on with me and what's going on with him, and we love each other, we miss, and all that extra stuff. And then we hugged and we kissed, and then he left, and then I was all sad when I went back, and then I did the rest of my time.
Stuff like that. What I'll do on my end is I'll do the promotion. I'll promote you through the station that your show is coming on to the station, and then anything that we might branch out in the summer and stuff, as far as the public goes, then I would in turn sponsor you guys on the other side of that. There's one of your sponsors.
Man, it always fascinates me because I can never put a pulse on it, get an accurate read. Me, myself, being in 2 5-year, 1 6-year relationships, all 3 failed. You know, I learned a lot, I've seen a lot, I felt a lot. So I originally set out to, you know, create a show. I originally called it Ordinary Love Shit. And what I would do is I would interview couples, I would go downtown, walk up to total strangers and ask them the famous old question, what does ordinary love mean to you? And some people would stop and talk to me, and some people would just keep it moving. But we started out a few episodes, like 3 or 4, and then shout out to cousin Maine. Jermaine was Ubering, and he ended up Ubering Angelo Lamar, who has his own radio station, and they got to talking. Manny pitched him the idea of the show, the concept of the show. Angelo loved it. The rest is history. Now we on the radio, you know, every Wednesday and Sunday. Sundays at 6 p.m., Wednesdays at 8 p.m. The Ordinary Love Show. Check us out. Shameless plug. But yeah, so that's how that came about. So with love, it's just, love is always, I've always been curious. It's always a curiosity when it comes to love, because everyone's process is different. Everyone's love language is different. Your version of love is different from mine, and it's always been intriguing to me. So that's how that came about, and that is why.
Come on, Booby, you're back here. For real, this gotta be a poop. What you eating? Oh yeah, never mind. That's my baby. But just don't hate. He be beating it up. For real. Yeah. Like, why would you do that? Yep. We have to look for 2012. Y'all can't see my ass. Y'all can't see his dick on my ass. He got his pants on, y'all. Yes, he do. For real, you gonna try to have a serious face say no you don't, so they can really believe you.
You want to see?
Don't make me fuck you. You better not even move. I'm not ready. For real. So I came home and Antoine wanted me to just come right home and spend time with him, and we go do something just together. But I also had all of my friends that missed me and wanted to see me too. So in my mind, I'm thinking, why don't I just kill 2 birds with 1 stone and go to Cheers, and I can see everybody, and everybody can see me. So that's what I ended up doing, because I got my way. And then Antoine, of course, was upset and felt some type of way about it. I think we ended up arguing about it later on that night. And eventually we got it.
Around the time when it was time for Sabia to get out, I wrote her, the last letter I wrote her, I don't think she ever got it. It was too late. I wrote her a letter, I planned the whole evening, like, you know, we're gonna walk down Penn's Landing, we're gonna get some flowers, we're gonna go have dinner and stuff like that. And that plan totally like backfired, because when she came home, I was not the first person that she wanted to see. I didn't see her. She went to, of course, with her mom and her stepfather and her sister and stuff like that. But I ended up at that damn bar, you know, chilling with her and her friends. I'm sitting here like, damn, bro, like, I was holding you down up in that thing, like, you know what I mean? You can't, take a day off of that, another day off of that and get at them, like, later on or another day. Can't you just, like, vibe out with your boy? You know what I mean? That was my mindset. I was upset about it. I felt kind of late. And one thing about us, man, we will fight. Me and Sabia will fight like crazy. And then at the end of the night, we would love each other. Oh, fuck you, blah, blah, blah. Don't come to my bar, da, da, da. I would still go to the bar anyway despite her. Walk right by her, sit at the bar. A shorty will walk up to me and be all in my face, and I'll be acting like I'm really interested and engaging and smiling and all that just to piss her off. Like, I was petty like that. Like, we would do that to each other. I didn't give a shit. Like, this is what you want to do. You want to play? I'll play too. I will play. But yeah, when she came home and I had to end up, spending that time in Cheers, it bothered me, but I got over it. Like, whatever. Like, it ain't even worth, like, just crying over it because my ass was at the damn bar anyway. And them Long Islands was $7. They was like that big. So once I drunk one of them, I wasn't even worrying about what I had planned or anything like that. Just dumb. But it was, yeah, we had a good time. I was happy that she was home. I was hoping that things would be different and stuff like that. And we talked about that a lot. So it felt like at the time we was, a few days after that we was making progress and stuff like that. But it just didn't pan out that way. Is what I would hope for it to be.
So I was living with my mom, and we were getting along, then not getting along, not getting along. So the suggestion came about to go live with my sister in Baltimore. So that's what I did, and I stayed there for a little bit. The whole time I was there was probably about 2 months. And Antoine came and visit. I think it was Valentine's Day. And then I cooked, and he bought some liquor, and we had fun. Like, the weekend was fun up until he was ready to leave and talking about he taking the bottles with him. No, you're not. You're not taking. You're supposed to stay here, and you can leave. You don't need to take the bottles. So we literally are arguing over liquor.
About change and stuff like that. So when Sadia moved away and went to Baltimore with her sister, I was happy. I was torn because, like, damn, now we're going to kind of have like a space, a big gap in our relationship. I ain't going to be able to see you. You ain't going to be at my disposal. I can't reach you. You know what I mean? But I thought it was necessary for her to move with her sister. Her sister, shout out to Sarita and Aura. That's her husband, man, Robbie. I love them. Her sister was always on point. Like, from the minute that I've learned of her and, like, when I met her and stuff like that, like, Sarita was the responsible one. She had her priorities together, and Sadia was like struggling. So I was just like, oh man, why don't you be like your sister? You know what I mean? But this time around, she's going to Baltimore. Rita's gonna take her in, and they gonna vibe out and everything like that. And boy, was I wrong. But before it blew up, it was Valentine's Day. I got a bus ticket. I bought some flowers. I bought some alcohol and stuff like that. Got up there, and she cooked. It was good. Steak, mashed potatoes, and a vegetable I can't remember, but I do remember we had an intimate night. Ran her a bath, bubble bath. She sat in the tub. I was feeding her grapes and stuff like that. Like, we was vibing, had the candles lit and stuff like that. It was an intimate time. And then at the end, it was just like, man, that love and lustful bliss that bubble just popped, and we fighting over Henny because I wanted to take the alcohol back with me, and she didn't want me to do it. So we fighting over that, and I'm sitting here. Sharita's one of her girlfriends was driving me back to the bus station, and I'm telling her what happened and stuff like that, and it was just like, I was just so upset. But that's how it was. We'll be loving on each other, and then at the drop of a hat, fighting each other. And one thing about Sadia, she was very, very possessive of me. She didn't play that shit. Like, she didn't like me around no females. She didn't like if female was in my face giving me any type of energy and time, oh, she shutting it down. Like, she did not play. But I used to play on that, though. Like, because I knew she was like that, but I used to just, when she used to piss me off, I just used to just do little things just to spite her, because it's like, yo, you getting on my fucking nerves. But, yeah, that was just how we'd be like, oh, man, I hate you. Don't come to my bar. I hate you too. Fuck you too. And then at the end of the night, oh, I love you too. Oh, blah, 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 blah. We doing all types of freaky stuff. So that's how we used to get down, man. It used to be crazy. Like, that energy, it just used to be crazy, man.
Then he ended up leaving. We left on bad terms, so he ended up leaving. So fast forward to like maybe like a week later, my sister went to Alabama, I think. She went somewhere far away to visit with her boyfriend at the time. And she left her truck and she left her keys there just in case of emergency. So I would take her truck and go to like Baltimore City where my brother would stay at and go chill around there because it was nothing else for me to do. I don't know nobody out there. So I would just go chill with my brother and his girlfriend and their friends and stuff like that. And then we just was there one day. We just came up with the idea like, yo, you trying to drive to Philly? And I was like, I don't care. And they're like, no, for real. And I'm like, no, all right, well, I don't care. Like, we can go. So that's exactly what we did. We drove to Philly, me and my brother, and I didn't tell Antoine because I didn't want to hear his mouth about how wrong I am and I shouldn't do this and I shouldn't do that, because he was sort of like, you know, he's younger than me. He was sort of like an old man to me in my eyes.
It's funny how people be thinking that they can be slick and sneaky, and it always comes to light. So how I found out was, I found out two different people. One, my man Al, shout out to you, Al, my man Al, we worked together. So he was like, yo, I seen Sadia last night, she was at the bar. Mind you, this was right after I left from up there. This was like that Monday or something like that. And I'm like, no, she in Baltimore. I just was up there. He was like, didn't you just come from Baltimore? I said, yeah. He said, yeah. I said, yeah. I just was up there. So I was like, he was like, yo, she was at the bar last night. I said, no, she wasn't. I ain't believe him. He's like, yo, I'm telling you, she was at the bar and he told me what she had on and everything. So I'm like, oh, wow. I'm heated. I was so mad, but I wanted to catch her in the lie, so I didn't even let her know that I knew. I was going to wait to talk to her. So then I go to the bar, and one of her girlfriends, she went behind her back and was like, yeah, you know Sadia was here last night. And I'm like, I played dumb like I didn't know. Like, for real? She's like, yeah, she was here. You didn't know? Oh, my God. And she was all, oh, my God. She didn't tell you? I'm like, hell no, she didn't tell me. Said, I ain't know. Whatever. And she's like, wow, that's crazy. That's messed up. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm just livid. And, you know, it's just like, dog. Like, why? You too old to be running around like you like 16. I'm just like, you almost 30 years old. Like, why? Anything could have happened. Your sister told you, do not take my truck anywhere else now that you got to get something or whatever the case. And then she took it upon herself to come to Philly to go to that damn bar and whatever with Sharif. And that was like a crazy fight. And then once her sister found it out, she kicked her out and it was back to Philly, back to Lansdowne. That was just crazy. Sadia was just so hard-headed. She just did not listen, and she just did things on her time, and it was just like so annoying. Like that, it annoyed the fuck out of me because I just knew that situation with her being in Baltimore, that it was going to be the best situation for her. She was going to get her mind right, get herself together, and it didn't turn out that way. So yeah, that was crazy.
So I'm thinking, okay, well, got out of it. Antoine not gonna know anything. Come to find out, get a phone call from Antoine. He's yelling and screaming, all upset. How dare you? You came up here and you didn't say nothing. And I'm like, what did you come up here for? And why would you do that? And his sister trusted you with her car and you took it. Anything could have happened. You know, he's being the responsible one. And I'm being the one that I really don't feel like hearing it. And I really don't care about what he's talking about. So, of course, that was another argument. So a holiday, I don't know what holiday it was. Mother's Day, Thanksgiving, something, I don't know. But we was at my brother's house in Baltimore, and everybody's having a good time, a lot of food, drinking, laughing, children running around. Everybody's just enjoying themselves. And then my mom says, you know, she needs to talk to everybody about something important. So we all like gather around the table, and she proceeds to tell us that she's sick. She didn't go into detail about her sickness. She did later on, but during that time she just ran it down vaguely that she's sick, and she don't know how long that she have, because she basically needed a liver transplant, and the condition she had involved something with her liver. She would go back and forth to the hospital to get like these bands on her liver to close it and stuff like that. So she needed another liver, but it was gonna be a while for her to even be on the list to get a transplant. So they were looking at, she didn't have that long to live. Now my mom is, sometimes she can be dramatic, so in my mind I'm like, oh whatever, she's probably just being dramatic, it's not really gonna happen. But the news was actually real, because my sister was actually communicating with her doctors. So, and she let me know that it is real. And fast forwarding, my mom would make comments and stuff if me and my siblings is arguing or anything like that, or if she asked me to do something for her and I like complained about it, she would always make comments like, "You're gonna miss me." Oh God, I'm not talking about this.
I went to Baltimore with Sadia, her mom, and Mr. Craig, her stepfather, and we were always, you know, throughout the years, I would always go down there with them. And when I got around her family embraced me, they loved me, I loved them. It was just, they reminded me of my family in every way. And over the years, I would always go down there with them and fellowship with them, barbecue, cookout. They would come up to Philly, we would link up, barbecue, cookout, laugh, watch the games, do everything. But this particular time, it was just like, for me, it felt different. And Sadia and I, you know, we were sitting in the back seat, and you know, it was kind of like a quiet ride. We was talking a little bit, but it didn't feel normal. So anyway, when her mother, you know, they called a family meeting, we ate and stuff like that. They called a family meeting, and her mom, you know, disclosed that she, you know, doesn't have much time to live. When I heard that, standing there with her family, like my legs felt weak. Hearing that, it was quiet. You could hear it was so quiet in the house. You could hear a pin drop. I remember Sadia just walking out the back, and I'm just standing there. I'm just like trying to process it all, and I'm just like, fuck. You know, I'm worried about her mom. Like, what's going on? I'm worrying about Sadia now, because I was always on her about smoking cigarettes. Like, you're trying to get her to quit smoking cigarettes and stuff like that. And it was just like her mom disclosing that. I was just like, man, I didn't want to believe it. So I go out, try to, you know, comfort and embrace Sadia, but she was just upset, crying, and she didn't really want to be bothered, be around anyone. It's like, man, her mom just said she don't have that much longer to live. So I just started just thinking about everything, all of the times that we had. I'm thinking, I'm so like messed up in the head, and I'm thinking that she's gonna die tomorrow and stuff like that, which wasn't the case. But I just started reflecting on our time together, and me and her mother was just so close, because I would call her whenever Sadia would be bad and act up. Sadia used to get mad because I used to tell on her all the time. I was the biggest snitch. I would call her mom up so fast. Oh, I never called her mama. And Sadia didn't like that. I used to call her Miss Pam, because I said I want to give you the ring first before I earn that right to call her that. That was my lodging That was my logic and reasoning behind that. I wanted to marry Sadia first before I call her mother mama. But man, that was a crazy time. Crazy time.
So she would make comments like, "You're gonna miss me when I'm gone," and I would just be like, "Whatever, mom, you're not going nowhere," and stuff like that. But so fast forwarding, she, I don't know. It's like God knows. It's like God lets a person know that they're about to go, so they allow them to like get stuff in order and be around people, because my mom kind of spent time with each of us when we needed her. Like before she went, it was like back to back to back. My sister was pregnant with twins and lost them at 5 months. And then when their year anniversary or their birthday came around, we threw her a surprise party at her house. And we was all there for her. And like all the family was there, and it was so much fun. We laughed so much that day. And we have that on video. That's like the last video that we have of my mom. And so that was my sister's last experience with her. My brother experienced with it was like a little while after that. He was having surgery, and she went down there to Baltimore to be with him. And while he was recovering, while he was in the hospital, and then throughout the time, my brother Sharif, she was always communicating with him back and forth. He was coming up, bringing Jazzy, his daughter, who she called Nene, and then last but not least was me. I had a procedure that I had to have done. I lived around the corner from my mom. Like literally, I always stayed close because we was like so close. So I couldn't be that far away from her. So I like lived like 2 blocks away from her. So I had to have a surgery, and I ended up staying with her while I was getting well. So like she took care of me. She made sure I took my medication when I was supposed to take it, my pain medication, and she like healed me back. Her husband at the time, he slept on the couch, and me and her slept in the bed, and every single night for like a week and a half, we would just play cards, be up, laughing like all night long, laughing to where as though like our stomach is hurting from laughing so hard. And then it's like I end up leaving. I was like, I feel better. I'm gonna go home. And she's like, you sure you don't want to stay? And I'm like, no, I'm fine, I can go. It's like she was enjoying the company of having me there, and now I feel bad that I actually was in a rush to leave, but I didn't know that, time was about to be up. So I ended up going home, and then she called me like a couple hours later and asked me like how I'm feeling, am I okay, and all that stuff. And I said, yeah, I'm good, I'm just laying here watching TV. And she's like, okay. And then probably like 2 days later, I went to her house. Her husband was cooking, and she was supposed to be going to my auntie house that night. And I went over there before I was going out to ask to you where her black pocketbook. She had a black BB pocketbook that I still have, and I went to borrow it. And she's like, no, because you're not going to give it back. And then I'm like, yes, I am going to give it back. So she ended up letting me have it. And I'm like, all right, thank you. I love you. I'm out. See you later. And I left. And that was basically the last time that I saw her, because that next day I was planning on going to my friend's birthday party. And I got a call from my oldest brother. And he's like, you need to come to the hospital. Your mom is on life support, and it don't look like she's gonna make it. So I'm like, what? Like, he had to repeat it about 3 times because I felt like I was having like an out-of-body experience. So I just hung up with him, and I got in the shower, and I was just like standing there, like literally in the shower, just screaming, like begging and praying like this is not real. But then I just hurried up, rushed. I went around the corner to her house and picked her husband up because he didn't even know anything. So I picked him up, and then we went to the hospital. And of course, you know, when we got to the hospital, she was just tubes everywhere, and she just didn't look like herself, like period at all. And then I just broke down, and then all the families started coming, and we all had to sit down and talk to the doctors, and they we was trying to hold on like as long as we could. They like, even if she stays, she's not gonna have no type of life. She's basically gonna be a vegetable, and I know my mom won't want to live like that. And so we all had to come to the decision to pull the plug, basically. And so that's what we did, and we prayed and hugged and everything like that. I called everybody that I could think of that might want to say their goodbyes. So Antoine was one of them that I called, and he came and he stayed there with us and as support, and that meant a lot.
So the night that I learned of Mama's condition was I was asleep. I woke up like in the middle of the night from my sleep. I went to bed, but I woke up in the middle of the night after midnight, and Sadia left me a message. She messaged me saying, you know, I'm at the hospital. Mom, you know, she might not make it through the night, something to that effect. And I'm like, what? And I had jumped up, got in the shower, got my clothes on, and I rushed down to the hospital. By this time, it's probably like 1 in the morning, and go in there. Her whole family's there, her sisters, brothers, and stuff like that. And when I walk in, I just walk up to her brother Sharif and just give him a bear hug, and I just lost it, broke down in his arms, and it was just a surreal time. Didn't feel real. I felt numb, like I don't know, it just didn't feel real. I don't know why, to me it just didn't. I hugged Sadia, her sisters and everybody, and I just went in there and seen her, and they had her laid out on the bed, her legs was propped up. She looked like she was sleeping, and you know, I just was staring at her, said a little prayer for her, and I just started just reflecting about all of the moments that I personally had with her, myself. There was a lot of them. I was with Sadia for 5 years, and the last time when I seen Mama alive was she got an opportunity to meet Antoine, my baby boy. At the time, he was like 1 going on 2 or something like that, and I took him around to her mom's house, Sadia's mom's house, to so she could see him, basically. And I think that was both of their first time actually seeing Antoine. He was still crawling, barely walking. And Sadia at the time, I remember, I'll never forget, she wasn't feeling well, so she couldn't even touch him, or she just laid there and just watched. She was sitting in the living room, like wrapped in her blanket, not feeling well. She had a cold or something. And Antoine, I let him, put him down, and Mama was in the kitchen and just watching him like crawling around. He trying to get in the cabinets and stuff, and she picked him up, she held him, she gave me a glass of wine, and she's just staring at him like, oh, he's a beautiful baby. She looked at her and said, this is supposed to be my grandbaby, like that. It was the cutest thing. Sadia wasn't very, she didn't feel that, but that was the last time that I seen her alive. We spent that moment together, and she did get to meet my son, a great, great woman.
Then the funeral came about. That whole process was stressful on everybody, and then it came about, and it was like a reliever that the day is finally coming, and that was an emotional day as well. for all of us. And then Antoine, of course, came to the funeral.
So, of course, you know, I gotta go to their funeral. I took off work. Got there a little after it started, but I still was there in time to view the body. So I rushed down the aisle and got down. They had a video montage planned up ahead over her casket, and you know she looked really, really nice. Just at peace, looked like she was sleeping. She looked really, really nice. She looked like herself. It was just a touchy time, like emotional time. I was just filled with a lot of emotions. I just couldn't believe that I don't know. She was one of those people, to me, it just seemed like she would live forever, you know. She's living forever through all of us, you know, her loved ones and her children. But I felt like I can't believe that this day was here, like it happened. So I was just I was just in awe that this really is like she's laying here right now, and I'm at your funeral, Mama. But I just, you know, gave her a kiss, and I told her to, you know, just God be with you. You know, I love you. Gonna miss you. And I went back. I embraced Adia. She was sitting with her family, and I sat, you know, in the pew by myself, and I just watched the ceremony, and it was a beautiful service.
And it was like a celebration at the repast versus being sad and mourning and crying. It was like we were celebrating her, and everybody was telling their own stories and laughing and smiling and stuff like that. So it was uplifting versus sad. And then moving forward, we had to, you know, like take everything out of her place, and I got a lot of her jewelry and a lot of her belongings and stuff like that. And then like 2 months after her funeral, my apartment got broken into, and they took all of her jewelry. So I didn't have any of that. I still have like her clothes and belongings and stuff, but that's stuff that I can't get back. And then, so once that happened, I decided to move. I moved like a month later, and that's when I moved to Delaware. And moving to Delaware was the best thing I ever done to get away. And it seems like ever since I moved to Delaware, I just been getting more and more blessings and blessings and blessings on top of blessings, because I've been doing the right thing and I've been living right. And I know my mom is watching over me, and my goal in life now is to make her proud. So that pushes me and motivates me even more to be great for her. So I'm currently engaged to be married. June 20th, 2020, I get married. With the cricket, no. And so I'm at a happy point of my life. I have a good job now in a nice place, and I just feel good about where my life is right now, from where I came from and everything that I've been through. And I thank Antoine for being there for me through everything, because he dealt with me during the rough time. And it's like my fiance now got the better part of me, and Antoine got the rocky part of me, and he was still there trying to get me to be better and to get on the same page he was on. But I was in my own lane and doing my own thing, and I knew deep down inside that he wanted the best for me. I just wasn't ready to do any of that yet. It's like I'm hard-headed, and I just gotta figure everything out on my own time and on my own, even if, you know, I know it's the right thing. Like even with my parents, they'll tell me something, you need to do this, you need to do that, and I know that they're probably right, but I won't do it. I'll do it when I feel like doing it on my own time, and that's what that situation was. But I'll always love Antoine. He'll always have a special place in my heart. I wish him nothing but the best. I'm proud of him, and we'll forever remain friends. We don't have to talk every single day, but we'll always keep in touch. And I love you.
Well, you know, every ride must come to an end at some point. And I can truly say that Sadia, spending my time with you, I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about life. I learned a lot about just understanding and patience. Whoa, you took me for one, but you know what? I wouldn't trade any of it. You know, I couldn't be more proud of you. Understanding the message. Now you get it. Girl meets world. Now you get it. I always wanted to bring the best out of you, and I wanted you to realize your own potential and understand that you are better, you know, than what you was giving me, than what you was showing on the surface during that time. But I'm happy that you understand now. And you said that to me a while ago, years ago, that, you know, you now understand that what I was trying to get through to you. And I'm just glad that you found yourself and you're happy and you're at peace. And you in Newport, oh man, that was that was something to see. When I first seen that, you getting engaged, I was like, wow, that's beautiful. Who knew? You know what I mean? Like, that was beautiful to see. I was just so proud. It was only like I was just watching like a proud parent or a proud partner, ex-partner that they made it. Like, she finally doing it and just, you know, turning their life around. And it was just such a joy. It's such a joy to continue to see you flourish and blossom and grow into yourself. And man, it's beautiful. I'm so happy that you figured it out. You know, it's unfortunate that things ended the way that it did, but it was necessary. We needed each other for that during that particular time. And for me, it taught me a lot. I had to learn a lot of understanding of that you can't change people, and I couldn't change you no matter what I did. You know, during our time, I couldn't do it. You had to want to do it for yourself, and that was one of the hardest lessons that I had to learn, because it hurt like hell when you loved so deeply, but it's falling on deaf ears. So I learned that, and I learned that, you know, I can be crazy. You know what I mean? You brought that out of me, but it was crazy with love. It was crazy with it was just a passion that we had, and the time that we shared together was just, it was, you know, something to always cherish and remember, man, because we helped each other. We challenged each other. And, you know, I can always, you know, fall back on just understanding, you know, you are a part of my walk, part of my journey. You know, I met you at 22, 23 years old. Now I'm 37, and we still maintain a friendship. You know, we still, you know, communicate here and there and stuff like that. I'm never too far. We're never too far away if there's ever a dire need. And, you know, I always say, you know, I always want to end, if a relationship is going to end, to never end it in a nasty way where we hate each other, and you never know when that person is going to take their last breath and then be living filled with guilt and regret. So I'm glad that we went through the things that we went through, and it helped shape us and molded us as we grew into our adult age and space. I just want you to know that I'm very, very proud of you. I'm always going to love you, man, and I just wish you nothing but the best. And I just always tell you, like, do good, be great. I just want to see you win. And I'm proud of you, and just keep doing what you're doing. And the sky's the limit. So, I love you to death. Always. Love.
Always said I wouldn't be here, so much in my life. I say it all over this year. Still giving way. They thought I'm proud. the train. Don't you go.